if you want to increase your chances of going viral, it's all about the hook. Thousands of videos are going through your feed every single day. People will forget about you.
100%.
Post it to Snapchat, post it to TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. You got 20 million views in the span of like 3 months for a roofing company making just roofing content.
Crazy.
Yep. Dude, I think I can turn anybody into a full-time content creator if you give me enough time.
Welcome back to the Beyond the Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Andres Sanchez, and today I have Anthony Bertoncin. Thank you so much for coming on the show, brother. We're going to dive into content, agency, health, 75 hard challenge, life hard challenge. So much good content is about to go through in the next hour and 20 minutes. Thank you so much for coming on the show, brother.
No problem, bro. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I'm excited. You've been on the other side of the camera for episodes, and now I'm excited for you to be in the seat, and we can dive into the nitty-gritty of building content, going viral, creating views, getting a piece of that social currency pie. Yep. I can't wait. This episode is straight curiosity on my end because I'm trying to build this show, and I think that some of the stuff we talk about today is going to be implemented tomorrow. So let's dive right in. Who is Anthony? Talk a little bit about your journey, and then let's start getting into some of the stuff.
Yeah, so I'm just, I would say, a creative expert, I guess, at this point. That's kind of been my life since I was like 13, has been making content or making videos or just doing something in the creative realm. I started off just making little gaming videos with FaZe, like when they were, popping off on YouTube. That got me into content initially, wanting to be like that, join FaZe. So I was making gaming videos for a while. They switched over to vlogs, started vlogging. That became trendy, so I switched over to vlogging. My like childhood, elementary school, high school, that didn't really, none of it popped off. Yeah. Went to prank videos when Vitaly and all those guys started popping off. So I've kind of switched around a bunch, but it wasn't until I got into the Jay Alvarez kind of travel montage, event recap content that something actually worked for me. So doing that got me the opportunity to move across the country for like 2 years doing full-time full-time content creation for a bunch of entrepreneurs, videography, photography, graphic design. And once that failed, I came home, started my own personal brand, did comedy this time, and that took off and led to me starting an agency, which is what I do now because of how well it went.
Amazing. I'm excited to talk about it. And a question that just came up in my head is, how old were you when you uploaded your first YouTube video?
Dude, I'd have to go back and check. I know the videos are still up there because I showed somebody actually like a week ago, like eighth grade Anthony, like commenting over like Minecraft gameplay. But I would say like 12 or 13 was like my first video probably on YouTube. And
how old are you now?
I'm 24.
Okay, so,
yep.
I mean, 10 years ago, that's, it's always interesting to me because, I mean, being a YouTuber or posting content on YouTube is significantly sexier now than it was back in the day. And I'm using the word sexy because I think that's like a really accurate way to frame it. If you would have told the 7th, 8th grade you that being a YouTuber was going to be the number one thing that kids want to be now, would you have believed that?
I would, just because of how much my friends like fantasized about joining FaZe Clan. Like I just had a tight-knit group of guys that were all gaming all the time, and we all had the goal to like do trick shots and snipe and become like YouTubers and do what they're doing, just because of how different and like cool it was. And they obviously were successful online. Like you could tell, like they buy this big-ass house in the Hollywood Hills, but they all just play video games full-time. Like I knew there was something there in regards to kind of the digital currency you mentioned earlier. So no, to answer your question, I wouldn't be shocked at all. And now obviously we both know how important it is to be online, be in front of people's faces, just because, that's how you stay relevant. That's, thousands of videos are going through your feed every single day. People will forget about you if you're not constantly being shown.
100%. And I think now I couldn't imagine a life where I wasn't somewhere on the internet. I wasn't making content somewhere because I would feel like FOMO. I would feel like I'm missing out on this huge wave. Mm-hmm. And some people would be like, oh, you're late, you missed it. Yeah. I think those people are so wrong. We have so much time before I want to retract that. I don't think there's ever going to be a time where creating content is not part of our ecosystem.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
So you go and you're trying these different niches. You're kind of following what's popular at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Comedy. Like, where did that come from? Were you naturally a funny person? Was that just what was cool at the time? Another trend kind of following?
Mm-hmm. A little mix of both. So I've always been funny, just as it is. I've been a goofy kid my whole life. The class clown, comedic in the family. And the whole reason the comedy content started was because I read a book by Gary Vee called Crushing It.
Yep.
It's quite old now, but I reread it a handful of times, and it changed my life pretty much every time I read it. I got something new out of it. But that specific time I read it was right when Musical.ly switched to TikTok. And I think in the book, if I recall correctly, Gary Vee talks about Musical.ly and how everybody should be on it and doing something with it because he saw it being something. And if you know Gary Vee, he's right about a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. I get on there, everything's 15-second videos. That's still when everybody on the platform was lip syncing and doing the little dances and shit. But I got on there, and at first I was subconsciously kind of doing the kind of strategy I do now with my clients, but I didn't really know what it was. I was just testing out a bunch of different styles of content, just seeing what kind of sticked. And the first thing that sticked for me was when I decided to just get on there, not use any audios, not do music, no dances. I maxed out the video length at 60 seconds and just talked to the camera the whole time. I just told like a funny story. Like, this is just something that happened to me this week. I'm going to just get on here. I'm going to talk about it. And lo and behold, I was the only one on the platform that had ever, I guess, tried talking to the camera for 60 seconds when everybody else was making 15-second dance videos. So that instantly I stood out. And long story short, that was the first video I got that I think got over 100,000 views, right, on an account that had like less than 1,000 followers at the time. So I freaked out.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, that worked. And then I was going through the comments, and I saw somebody comment asking like for more details. So then I made a follow-up video kind of responding to the comment before that was a feature, talking about another story. And then boom, another 50,000 views. And I went up like 2,000 followers in like the span of like 3 days. So I kept doing that. And over the span of a month, I got to 30K in a month. And then within 3 months, it was 100K. And then within 6 months, it was 1 million. And then 12 months, we hit 2 million. So it grew fast as shit. And it was because I stumbled upon a pocket on that platform at the time that nobody had been taking advantage of. And it was, like I said, comedic storytelling, maxing out videos, which now a lot of people know. The longer you can get people to stay on your videos, stay on that platform specifically, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, etc., the more they're going to push your content to newer audiences because they make money by keeping people on their platform. And if people are watching your 60-second video for 40 seconds versus somebody else's 13-second video, they're going to favor your content. So I got pushed and grew so rapidly because of the amount of time I was getting people to stay on my content. I think the average watch time was like 45 seconds on like a 60-second video.
And that's amazing. Yeah. You can get them on there for 15 seconds. You're headed in the right direction.
Exactly.
So I know people are going to be curious because everybody who's an entrepreneur knows that content is important. So they're probably making it, dabbling in it. What does it look like behind the scenes as you're just ramping up in followers?
It's crazy. Like it's the same as anything else. You become a little numb to it at one point where you're logging on to TikTok and you have 4,000 new followers overnight. I started getting recognized in public because of how, like we were kind of talking about in this last podcast episode before this. Started getting recognized in public a little bit locally because a lot of the time when your content starts going viral, it gets pushed to local audiences before it does like around the United States, around the world. So I'd go into like a GameStop and a little kid saw my videos and wants to take a picture. Get hit up by brands all the time to promote content, and that's kind of when things really start. Well, they really started working for me as I saw the money in it at that point, where Bumble's reaching out to pay me like $1,500, $2,000 to just make a 30-second video for them, and stuff like that. So you have tons of people following you, tons of people reaching out for advice. Another funny thing is like I had people like treating me as like their therapist. Like I wasn't even making like really any motivational or self-developy content. It was comedy. But there's so many people that were reaching out to like ask for help about certain things, just because I guess I was a trusted figure with rapport built up because of the amount of videos I made.
Yeah.
So they felt comfortable bringing it up with me. So there's so many different things that come with it. You got your people from high school wanting you to promote their music or the clothing brand they're starting and all this stuff. So I mean, it's anything you could imagine would happen is what happens.
That's awesome. I'm still waiting for my day when I have that part of the journey, and it's definitely something I think about, which is why I wanted to ask, because it's like, you're not going to call it an overnight success, but 1 year to 2 million followers is an unreal run.
Yeah.
Most people hit plateaus or struggle. Was there anything during that time, because I'm sure you did hit a plateau somewhere.
Yeah.
What did you do to overcome that?
You switch the content style. So kind of like I talked about a little earlier in the podcast, when you are making one specific step, or I'll use a quote as an example. What got you to where you are now is not going to get you to the next level. Whether it's in business, whether it's with content, whatever you're doing in life, with fitness, with 75 Hard, you're going to cap out at a certain point with the style of training you're doing. You're going to have to switch it up, do something new.
Yep.
And in the case of content, that's kind of where the reaction stuff came into place. So comedic storytelling is what blew me up initially. And then what that switched to was stitch videos, which makes complete sense, because what a stitch video is, for people that don't know, is when you're taking, or a reaction video, one or the other, you're taking a viral piece of content and you're kind of adding to it. You're adding your reaction, maybe you're adding a piece of context, whatever it may be. The reason it works is because that video is already proven to go viral. It already has, the engagement. It has the proven hook at the beginning of the video in the first 3 seconds. So what you're doing by coming in and stitching it or reacting to it is using that already proven viral hook in your video, and as long as your reaction or the part of the video you're adding to it is good, it's of quality, then your video is most likely going to perform well. And what I found was on Instagram and Facebook, they loved stitch videos. Like, they loved that shit so much. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but that specific style of content did so well for a time period. So the main reason I grew my Instagram was because some people trickled over from TikTok, but when I started doing stitch videos on Instagram, I think it was averaging like 300,000 views on a video like per day.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and I got reached out to by Meta to be a part of their creator program, where I had an actual manager at Meta. Because of that, I had my most viral video get like 57 million views and brought me like 20,000 followers. That was the one that got posted on Yahoo and then on Daily Mail, BuzzFeed.
And what was that video?
So that was, actually there was 2 videos. The one I'm thinking of, a little different. I can explain both for context. But that specific video that got 57 million views, it had a good hook. So what it was a guy talking about kind of like the fupa, I don't know what you call it, like the little bump girls have above their private area.
Muffin top. Some people call it a muffin
that,
top.
like your fupa, like the little bump under your
Yeah.
belly button that girls have just naturally because of like their uterus and different stuff. He was talking about how that's like the most attractive part of a woman in this video, right, to him. And it made sense to me because I've always subconsciously kind of like liked that, and I think it's just us being, men and women and almost an animalistic kind of thing in regards to like mating, I think is where it comes from. But I stitched it and I was like, holy shit, finally somebody gets it. Oh my God. And it took me like 2 minutes to make in my car. But it went so crazy viral because I feel like a lot of the things that go crazy viral like that, somebody's coming to a realization or it's breaking a limiting belief that people have. And it had, I think, like 30 to 50,000 comments. It was something
Holy
crazy.
shit.
And what was happening in the comment section was girls were realizing that there was a lot of men that liked that. And they weren't ever told that because they have this limiting belief that they're supposed to make it flat. They're supposed to have abs. It's supposed to be flat there. But the only people that have ever told them that that's unattractive or needs fixing is other women. It's not men. The men have never mentioned that it's attractive. So they were finding out in the comment section that it actually is attractive to men. Women are the only ones that have told them that's unattractive. And then people kept going back to have conversation in the comments. So they're going back to my video 8 to 12 times, watching the whole thing through 3 times while they're typing.
It's just pumping.
Exactly. And then going off that, the other video that is what got me verified on everything before it was $15, was me... I had a room at my mom's house growing up that was hot as shit. It had a ceiling fan, but there's no vents that really worked going into the room. I had the fan on 24/7, and it just never got colder in the room. It was always hot. And I FaceTimed a friend one day who told me, he's like, oh, just switch the direction of your fan. Yeah. And I was like, huh? And he's like, yeah, just put it in like summer mode. And I'm like, summer mode? Like there's a switch on the wall, and it's once like what's summer mode? He's like, no, it's on the top of the fan. And I was like, huh? And I go up, stick my head above the blades with it off, and there's a little switch. Sure enough, that switches the direction of the fan because the blades are angled. So if it's going one way, it's pulling air up. The other way, it's pushing air down. And I did not know that. So I made a funny story about it. I'm like, for 6 years, it's been hot as shit. I just found this out, and instantly it's cooler. And apparently nobody else knew that. That's at least a millennial or a Gen Z, because none of us have installed ceiling fans.
Yeah.
But I made a video. It got 10 million views on my account, and some girl used the audio on TikTok where she takes my voice and kind of makes her own video with it. Got 30 million views. So that was the one that Yahoo picked up because they spun it and was like, Gen Zers find out ceiling fans switch directions, something to make us look dumb.
Yeah.
And then in the comments of that is all the boomers and older people that are like, dude, of course, dude, they're all idiots, or none of them have worked a day in their life. They haven't put a fan in. And it went viral on Yahoo because of the amount of comments. So that's why BuzzFeed, Daily Mail, and like 30 other applications picked it up.
That's insane.
And it was for the same thing. It was breaking down a common belief or something that people didn't know, or just, and I feel like that's what makes a lot of things go viral.
I think it's funny because my room in this house is always fucking hot. Mm-hmm. It's like the hottest room in the house. Mm-hmm. And for about a month, it was extra hot.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, what is going on? The higher I put the fan, the hotter the fucking room gets. My dad came in and he's like, it's going the wrong way. And I'm like, what do you mean it's going the wrong way?
Yeah.
And he goes, you clicked the button on the middle that reversed it by accident.
Yeah.
And you never fixed it. And I was like, I didn't know this.
Nobody knows.
And that's funny that you're saying that. I don't know. I've never installed a ceiling fan. Yeah. I mean, now we know, but that's hilarious. So let's talk like tactics wise.
Okay.
What are the important things people need to think about when creating a viral video? Or is it even that simple?
It is, but it isn't, because like in the case of the Fupa video, I didn't know why it went viral at the time, because I didn't start my agency. I really started diving into tactics and, psychology and the way people behave and stuff till after the fact. It took me 2 minutes to make in my car. Mm-hmm. So sometimes people, if you're putting out enough content, just stumble across something that goes viral. I always like using the guy on TikTok that went super viral, Latino man, where he was drinking the ocean water while riding his skateboard down the highway or something. He made 800 videos. I saw him get interviewed. He made 800 videos before that one went viral. And that was the first one he had do well. And it's because he just accidentally stumbled across something that worked. But if you want to increase your chances of going viral, I swear and live by it, it's all about the hook and making sure you can keep people's attention throughout the video. So the first 3 seconds of the video, if you have a visual hook or an audible hook, something verbal where people are hearing it, you have a good chance of keeping them watching your video. And as long as the rest of the video is good and you have little things happening, maybe camera zooms, cuts, effects, sound effects, different things going on throughout the video to keep their attention and they're interested in whatever your hook was about, and as long as you deliver on that, for example, I could use the hook, how I made $1 million in 30 days, or in our case, how I got 2 million followers in 12 months on TikTok. That's enough to entertain somebody and get them interested in like, okay, what's he going to say? Because I want to do that, Yeah. And as long as by the end of the video, I give them a strategy, I, tell them exactly how I did it. All of those things combined, you have a very good chance of getting a viral video. But at the end of the day, it's all about the hook and what you're using in the first 3 seconds to get somebody's attention.
Let's try it out. Let's try it out right here and see if this is a case study.
We already got a bunch of them. What would be a good hook for that?
Let's rip a hook right now that I ask you, and we'll clip this up. And if it goes viral, it links right back to this.
To do with what we just talked about?
Whatever. Yeah, I mean, we could use the hook that you just mentioned. Like me asking you, hey, what did you do to get 2 million followers in 12 months?
That would work. I mean, I've said a handful, but yeah, like in the case of...
Or you can feed me a hook that comes to your mind that you think might work.
I think here's what we'll do instead. I'll cut this up, and after we cut it up, I give you some clips for it. I'll tell you which one I think is going to have the best chance of doing well.
All right.
And then we'll plug in the 3-second hook to this segment of what we're talking about right now.
All right, you guys get ready. I'm going viral after this episode because of this moment right here. We're doing it. So... obviously, the hook is so important. What else do people need to be very focused on? And also, how do you find a good hook? Where does a good hook come from? Because we can think of basic shit like, oh, what I did to make $30 million. But like when you're working with a client and you're trying to develop a quality hook, what are you thinking about?
It's so hard. For the longest time, I couldn't answer that question because I didn't really know. I just knew, like I knew, but I didn't know how to explain it. Like if we were talking and you said something, I was like, okay, wait, rephrase it, but say it like this instead. I think it's something that drives emotion, and it's just a specific way of saying a sentence that's to grab the most attention. I'll use the example like, here's how I make a full-time income as an entrepreneur, or here's how I make $1 million a month as an entrepreneur. Adding in the $1 million a month part is going to be a much better hook than just keeping it broad. Or like, I always did story times, and there was a story time where I had 4 cops show up at my house, right? So for that hook, it was something along the lines of me showing 4 police officers in my driveway. I'm like, you guys are never going to believe what I did today. That's more of like a visual hook because there's 4 cops and I'm adding somewhat of a audible hook. But I don't really know how to explain it other than that. It's just a way of phrasing things that catch people's attention. You want to drive emotion. You want to pique curiosity. You want to spark some sort of, maybe it's a positive, a negative emotion, whatever it is. I think those are the keys though.
Do you think that this low quality influx of editors, because right now, like, I get 30 DMs a day on platforms asking that people want to sell me their editing services.
Yep.
Do you think the influx of low quality editors and people just wanting to clip everything is going to be something negative for short form? Is it going to hurt short form, or will short form remain king?
It's so, yeah, I'll give you a bit of an insight from what I'm seeing on my end because I manage a lot of clients. So if you're familiar with the Alex Hormozy style of editing or the Ryan Pineda style of editing or what I was doing with like Colin Yerkeson for a while, where there's animations, there's pop-ups, there's different things going on all the time, that's 90% of what all of the editors in your DMs are probably going to do for you because that's all they're seeing online. But that's not what's working anymore. And to be quite frank, the only client I'm still doing that for is I think the only one it's working for. Everybody else, I don't even do captions anymore. I don't do anything. I have, funny enough, a roofing client that's like one of my best performing clients. We got 20 million views in the span of like 3 months for a roofing company making just roofing content.
That's crazy.
Nothing broad where it's going to attract everybody, right? And the only editing we do to those videos is we make cuts to get rid of just dead space where I'm not talking for a few seconds. And we add a 3-second text like title for as the visual hook in the first part of the video. And that's the only editing we do. And they all do great. And I started implementing that with all my clients now because what I realized is a lot of people are getting sick of the overstimulating, over-edited content. And as long as the bare bones of the video are still entertaining, it's going to be favorable to them versus a version that's having transitions and sound effects and flashing lights and all this stuff that's going to overwhelm the shit out of you. So I think it's spinning back around right now, and it's going back to just simplicity.
Yeah, and it's funny. I wanted to bring it up earlier, but I knew it would fit better later. You mentioned how you found your niche by going and being the first person to create raw content on TikTok. I'm seeing, hearing, noticing raw content is now becoming very popular again. People want a real video. They want to connect with that person. Where now, with all of this info space and ads and personal brands, you're getting a lot of the highly edited explosions, moving, clips, cuts, noises. Are you, I mean, you just kind of mentioned it, but are you seeing the raw kind of not unedited, but raw, less edited versions being what will be successful now going forward?
Only with a certain style of content. I mean, what works for one person is not going to work for everybody. You have to have a specific personality that fits into that style of content. So going back to, I mentioned earlier in the podcast, kind of the structure I use with all my clients. In the first like 30 days of working with me, I usually like testing 3 to 5 different viral video structures. And what I mean by that is I'm going to go in your niche, I'm going to look on every single platform, look at the most viewed shit in the last 6 months. And I'm not going to copy it. A lot of people will use the word copy. I'm not copying it. I'm looking at like, okay, how did you lay out the video? Using the roofing client as an example. They go door to door and do sales. So I mic them up and hide in their car and record them going door to door, and we cut the clips of them doing the sales pitch. But when I'm editing it, it looks like a prank video. It looks like somebody's going on South Beach to go mess with somebody. So since that's a proven viral video structure, the prank video, people stop and watch it because they're like, are they gonna ding dong Dordich? Are they gonna leave some shit on his fucking porch and light it on fire? Like, what are they gonna do? So we'll test 3 to 5 of these structures that are relative to your niche that are already working, and over the next 30 days, we're gonna see which of the video structures, you know, does the best, which you feel the most comfortable filming, what's on brand, what your audience resonates with, and say we don't hit anything, we're gonna just keep doing that until we come across one that hits. So with some clients, first month we can get a 1 million view video, like I did with Vlad, our buddy, for instance. And some clients, it's taken 8 months before we come across a structure that constantly is working for them. I have a realtor client that, I'll touch on that in a minute, but that's kind of the point of it. So what works for you might not work for everybody else, and once we find that viral video structure that is working for you, we spin it enough to where it doesn't even look like the original piece of content. It's its own unique form. We just took inspiration from this, and it's its own thing now. But like I was saying, with that realtor client that took, he's the example that took 8 months to come across something. Every realtor on this is good for any real estate agents watching this. Every realtor on the planet does the same videos, bro.
Yep.
They do the same little house walkthroughs. They do the same, like, this is a bathroom, this is a kitchen. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. Like, I just want, like, if it looks cool, I'll buy it, right? But I don't really give a shit what the marble countertop is, or like how much this is, or how many rooms. I just show me the thing. So, to be different, what we did, and we kind of stumbled across it on accident, is I mic'd him up and I just recorded his live reactions going through properties on accident, because some of the listings we would film, you know, in that format are his listings, but then sometimes we'd go into a house for the first time that's not his listing. We're just using it because we need more houses for content.
Yeah.
And I just accidentally recorded him one day walking through this house for the first time that's not his listing, and he just had a funny ass reaction to just everything in the house. He had shit to talk about, you know, how somebody laid out the house this way, or, you know, why did they put this here? The couch is 100 feet from the TV. Like, you need a movie theater screen TV in here. And I just clipped up all the funny moments and made that one video, and then I made the legit house tour kind of B-roll videos, another thing. And I started split testing it like that for the next couple weeks. And I think the first one we did that with got like 250,000 views on his Instagram, and it did way better than, you know, a handful of other content we were doing at the time. So now regularly we do these videos, unless it's his listings, we make it a little more professional.
Yeah.
But we will purposely go to these other listings and like make it just a funny moments montage going through these like weird houses. And it's working quite well just because it's different, and he's the only one in that industry that's kind of doing that like that.
Yeah, I think it's like, sometimes it feels so hard to find the unique angle because of the fact that everybody's trying to make content in every niche. But then you stumble upon something like that that proves to you there's always an angle that nobody's taking.
Yep.
And then that's where working with someone like you comes into play.
Exactly.
Most people, that realtor by himself with his significant other, partner, friend recording him is not sitting there and split testing different angles, looking at different ways to run it, thinking of different philosophies to go viral. And that's why there's this perfectly carved out niche for people like yourself who study content, get it, and understand that there's certain things that have to happen for you to go viral. Yes, there's one-offs where you can go viral and you just stumble upon something, but to have it be consistent, there's certain things that need to happen.
Yep, dude, I tell everybody all the time, I think you can make anybody an influencer. Like, this is an offer I almost started marketing because I think I can turn anybody into a full-time content creator if you give me enough time. Like, I have a client currently that was not on social media, really was nervous in front of a camera, and turned her into a full-blown cooking influencer in like a year, where she's getting brand deals now from ButcherBox. She got sent a bunch of Hawaiian rolls from Hawaiian Roll, and she's working with these top food brands now and getting paid regularly to make content about something she's passionate about. Where originally she was camera shy, wasn't making any content, and it was all because we stumbled across a video structure that stands out in the food niche that nobody else is really doing. So, like you said, I think anybody can do it. It's all about just, you know, speeding up the process. You can either use me, or you can use some of the tactics I've talked about, and just, it's all about testing and finding something that works for you.
What do you think about the TikTok ban?
That's a tough one. How tinfoil do we want to go here?
You're the content guy, so maybe don't say anything that you think is going to get the video demonetized.
Stuff I would use might not be stuff you use. I'll keep it nice. So they've been trying to ban TikTok for like 4 years now. since I was on TikTok. Every once in a while, they're trying to ban TikTok, whether it's affiliate with China or it's damaging all the kids. No matter what I think about any of that, I think it is the only platform that at least America doesn't have full influence over. Everything else, they can kind of control what's going on there, what's getting advertised on there, the messaging behind everything as a collective whole. And TikTok's the only platform they can't do that with. I also think TikTok Shop is going to become a very serious competitor for Amazon. And once again, if it's not owned by an American company, I think that poses a problem to a lot of people. So those are kind of my main two takes on it right now, as to why I think it is pursuing the ban. I don't know if we're going to fully get there or not. I'm going to be a little butthurt if we are, because it's just like they're literally paying people to like get on TikTok right now. Like they want you to start doing TikTok Shop affiliate. They want to hand you money. They have total complete educational programs on how to start promoting products. And there's 19-year-olds making $15K on accident because they made a TikTok.
Yep.
So it's just by far the most dominant platform right now, and I think they're scared of it.
That was going to be my follow-up question. What social media platform do you think is king?
I think it all depends on your goal. It all depends on your goals, so you'd have to specify. I think YouTube, if you want to build a very loyal audience that's going to stay with you for a long time and that you can monetize, I think YouTube, long-form content all the way. If you want to go fast, just build a following and kind of take advantage of short-form content, I think TikTok is definitely the best and still is the best because of how viral you can go quickly. Instagram and Facebook, a little more strategic, but anybody can get on TikTok, throw a couple videos up, get on TikTok Shop affiliate, and change your life in a span of, in my case, 6 months.
Yeah, I can't fight the urge anymore of having to at least try building a brand for TikTok Shop.
Yeah.
That's my new little side project that I'm going to kick off here that I'm sure people listening will start to hear more of as it gets going. But I agree. It's interesting how each platform kind of offers different ways that people consume content. And no platform like TikTok allows you to reach more than what your follower base is. You could have one follower and they'll show your video to at least 200 people almost every time, which that's 200 times the people that follow you. That is massive. And I think that's why TikTok, like you mentioned, is so good for scale, quick, fast. Post content, you might go viral. It's very, 100%. Very possible. Where other platforms, you're right, you need to be more strategic. You need to really think about the content you're putting out. Your follower feed sees it a lot more than some of these other platforms.
But going off that, to clarify, if you're making a piece of content, you want to share it everywhere. If you're taking the time to make one video, say we cut up a clip from this podcast, post it to Snapchat, post it to TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, put it on all 6 platforms, because something that goes viral on one platform might flop on another. And maybe you only post it to the platform where it flops, and you're never going to know how well it could have done on this other platform. Another example, I have a different realtor client from what I talked to earlier that we made a video about why you shouldn't talk shit while touring a house. And the whole point of the video, the gag at the end of the video, was that the home buyer was talking shit about stuff in the house, and as they were walking out, the Ring doorbell camera picked up the conversation, and the homeowner, saw it and didn't sell the house to him. So we posted that video to my client's Instagram, and initially it got 8,000 views on that Instagram account at that time. We posted the same video to Facebook, and it got 13 million views.
Whoa.
That big of a difference just because it was pushed different. It was pushed to a different demographic initially, and how an audience reacts initially to a video is very important in the performance. Funny enough, we reposted it actually a month ago. If you make viral videos, repost them every couple months. We posted it again on Instagram. We got 1.4 million views the second time on Instagram. Didn't change anything from the first time.
When you talk about posting on Instagram versus posting on Facebook there, I know on Instagram now you can toggle that little thing, share to Facebook. Are you individually posting on both platforms, or is toggling that button enough?
So this is one of those things that's interesting. So if I'm posting on Instagram, I toggle on the share to Facebook option in the settings when you're going to post a video, because when it gets posted and recommended on Facebook, and somebody sees it on Facebook and clicks like your name, it takes them to your Instagram. It shows your Instagram profile, not your Facebook profile. But if you post on Facebook and you decide to share it to Instagram, it's going to double post it to whatever that Instagram account is that's attached to it.
Got it.
So I'll post to Instagram, share it to Facebook from Instagram, but I'll also go and post it separately on Facebook. So I'll get it on there twice, because that second time where I'm uploading it specifically to Facebook, it's directing everything back to my Facebook profile.
Okay.
So that's what I like to do with all my clients, and I recommend everybody turn that feature on if you're posting to Instagram, because there's times where my video will get 5,000 views on Instagram, and then a couple weeks later it has 100,000 views, and I'll go look at the insights and see what happened, and it only got pushed to 5,000 views on Instagram, but then all of a sudden it started getting recommended on Facebook, and 150,000 of the views are from Facebook. So I always turn it on.
What do you think it's still worth trying to build a brand on like a Facebook page? Like I'm thinking me, for example, my podcast has a 10 follower Facebook page, and I toggle that button on so it posts. Should I be like trying to build a brand on Facebook as well, like individually posting, focusing on getting followers on Facebook?
You never know what's going to work for you, and it's all niche dependent too. Like your niche, there's like for cooking, Pinterest is really big on girls going on there and finding recipes or finding fashion content. But if you go on, maybe TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, they might not care as much about it. But there's people that specifically go on like Pinterest and use it as a search engine to find recipes or find like outfit inspiration. So if you're in one of those niches, you should push it there,
Yeah.
And in your situation with like podcasting, I would go make a account on every platform and post it everywhere, because like I kind of mentioned earlier, you never know where it's going to go viral. I started reposting all of my videos to a Facebook profile just because I was already making them on Instagram, the Stitch videos at the time. And I think I got up to like, I don't remember correctly, it's either 30 or 60K followers on a Facebook account just from taking what I'm posting already here and I also upload it here. So it gives me opportunities to take advantage of the creator funds that the platform offers. It's extra money in. There's extra brands that are only kind of looking around on Facebook to find influencers there if they're running Facebook, they're running meta campaigns. So there's a bunch of opportunity that comes from just posting it everywhere, and maybe you accidentally build a huge following on Facebook.
Your main focus is short form content or content itself, like video content.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on X, the direction X is heading, or Twitter?
Yep.
Because I know now they're making a much bigger push. Their feed now you can scroll down. When you go on the browser version, they have all your videos in boxes. Like Instagram, you can kind of click through.
Yep.
What are your thoughts about that platform?
So I can't speak too much to Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to always call it Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I actually haven't ever really done a lot on there. Mainly because it's been a copyright platform up until recently. But I am actually starting to look into it moving forward. One, because of their creator program for people that I think pay for the subscription and tweet regularly and get engagement. It actually pays really well. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on that. And two, Nelk and Steve Will Do It kind of is what drew my attention to it, because they're hated on like a lot of platforms. Steve Will Do It, I think, got kicked off YouTube. He's off a handful of things. But he's able to freely post his long form videos to X.
Yep.
Because it's obviously owned by Elon Musk, and he's for free speech and all that. So Nelk started doing the same thing, and they're still getting a good amount of views and watch time on a 25-minute vlog on X. So I kind of see it starting to change a little bit to where it might be both. And I don't think people are necessarily against that are native to Twitter, because they're still watching it. And honestly, a majority of the stuff I see on X when I go on there is video content. So I think it could be switching. I'm going to start spending a lot of time at least looking at it and playing around with just the growth on there. Maybe I just make my own account and see if I can blow it up before I start offering it as like a service for my clients. But I think you should be on every platform, no matter what it is, even if it's something small that pops up.
I started taking advantage of posting long form on X just because I was like, hey, it's quick, it's easy to upload. And I think that's like a cool part about X too. It's like so simple to get a long form video up and out. I think once I have it downloaded, it takes less than 20 minutes to get it up, and then you post it out. And I haven't had like insane growth, but on YouTube, for example, a newer starting YouTube, I'll average 200 to 800 views a video or an interview, which some people might say, oh, that's not that much. For YouTube, that's not too bad as you're starting to grow.
Yep.
On X, using an old Twitter that from a company I bought, and I didn't even try and organically build one. I'll throw up a long form and get 200, 300 impressions regularly.
Yep.
And it takes me 20 minutes of my time. And I think that they're starting to push it, and they're going to start to push it. So I'm excited for you to start dabbling in, and I'm definitely going to be hitting you up to see what you're seeing, what you're experiencing. Because I love X personally for my personal brand, because I love to just talk shit and tweet and read what other people are thinking. But I think video is starting to become more and more relevant on there.
I agree completely.
Instagram now allows you to pay for the verification. Do you think that accounts that pay for it get more views?
No, they do not. So initially they were kind of marketing it that way, but I work with a Meta partner manager. There's a bunch of people that are creators that get invited to work on a partner program, and I've been on one off and on for the last 4 years. They have never told me to my face that that is the case. What they have told me, though, is if you have trademarks or watermarks on your videos, that it's not going to get pushed as much. And if you're making original content, it also has a lot better chance of performing well versus if you're stealing content or reposting and stuff like that. So those are two little misconceptions I see a lot of people do. But in regards to the subscription checkmark, I think the only reason it's beneficial is it still kind of adds a layer of credibility, not near the sense it did when you had to legitimately get it. But when you see it, it's kind of just like a subconscious layer of trust and rapport that's built. It's like, okay, this is not as sketchy as this random username with a bunch of letters and numbers in it.
Yeah.
And then in regards to technical support, I think it can be beneficial sometimes. Instagram actually has a thing now where I think it's Instagram.com/hacked. A lot of people get their accounts banned and taken down all this stuff. There's actually a site now to through Instagram to go get it fixed, which is nice. But I think that was the only benefit of really paying for the subscription would be getting access to customer support, because it's impossible to find Facebook's customer support.
Impossible.
You can't even find it. I don't even think it exists, honestly.
Seems like it shouldn't be legal.
Exactly. But before, dude, it was game changing having a check mark, and now I think I'm indifferent about it. Like if I see somebody with it, I might go at least check out their profile to see what they're about. But I think that's the only benefit now.
Yeah, I've been on the fence about subscribing. I've got 600 followers.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to do it just for what you said. Hey, look, $15 a month is peanuts. Added layer of credibility. If one person clicks my profile versus not clicks because they see the check, it's a win.
Yes. So let me rephrase. I do think everybody, if you're capable and financially able to just go buy this subscription on Instagram, I would, because of that exact reason. If you're doing something with business or content creation, or you have a product, service, something to offer, I would go buy it, because there are times where somebody will follow me and I won't go check out their thing because they don't have a little check mark there. But consciously, there are times where I have curiosity. I'm like, okay, their check mark, is it legit? Is it not legit? And I'll click there and at least see what they do. I'll read their bio a little bit. Maybe I'll follow them. Maybe I won't follow them, only because they have that. So if you're doing anything where you need people to go to your profile, click a link in your description, or click on your story or something, I would pay for it, and then the customer support kind of can be a benefit sometimes. Sometimes it's useless.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. Whether it's not as credible as it used to be, people still default to blue check mark.
Yeah.
When you follow somebody and they see blue check mark, they might at least check holy shit, does this guy have 100,000, a million followers?
Yep.
Let me click. And then it's maybe it's underwhelming, but they're still looking at your page versus not.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that.
So hooks for that, for example, I'm just thinking of them right now because it's good. It's if you're not paying $15 a month for the Instagram check mark, you're losing out on hundreds and thousands of dollars, or hundreds and thousands of followers, or something like that. Something along those lines would be a good hook for that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got to weave that in there too somehow.
You're gonna go broke if you don't have a check mark right now.
Yeah,
nobody's gonna look at your business.
You're gonna go broke if you don't have a check mark on your Instagram, because no one's gonna look at your business.
Yeah.
Boom. Now my podcast has 100,000 subs. So we've talked a lot about the content journey. I wanna, before we dive into the fitness side of things, explain to people how they can work with you, and your agency, how they should reach out. Give them a little bit of that.
Yeah, so everything I do is through my Instagram. I get asked for business cards all the time, or if I have a website or something like that. But social credibility, I think, is the best credibility. If you're meeting friends, or getting introduced to a girl, if it's through friends, it's so much better. And if somebody that wants to work with me on social media about their social media comes to my account and sees oh, he has legit check mark, 100,000 followers on Instagram, 2 million followers on Twitter. He's like, okay, he knows what the fuck he's talking about. So if you want to work with me, I always send everybody to my Instagram, Anthony Bertoncin, Bertoncin. Just shoot me a DM, say content, and I will happily, hop on a phone call with you, talk about how we can blow up your brand, your business, using social media.
Bingo. So, aside from your business, aside from that, you have gone on this intense health journey. 75 Hard, for the people that don't know. 75 Hard is a challenge. I think Andy Frisella is his name that created it. Essentially, 75 days, no alcohol, 2 45-minute workouts. One has to be outside. Read 10 pages of a self-help motivation book. 1 gallon of water. And did I mention no alcohol already?
No alcohol, no cheat meals, diet, and a progress picture.
And the progress picture, which is a tough part. And then there's Life Hard, right? Or Live Hard, which is a full year's version that you can look that part up if you want, or maybe we'll touch base on it here. But you've done 75 Hard multiple times. You've now in the process, or you've done
in the process of Live Hard.
Okay, in the process of Live Hard. Talk about how impactful that's been to who you are.
Before I started it, Andy Frisella, I listen to him religiously just because he's probably the number one entrepreneur right now, and personality online that I'm benefiting a lot from listening to. And when he was talking about 75 Hard, or would have people come on his podcast and talk about 75 Hard, he would always talk about how you would develop, perseverance, grit, your self-discipline, your self-motivation, your self-confidence. All this stuff would just go up and become like impeccable. And I didn't really know what he meant by a lot of it until I did it. And after 75 days of being beyond disciplined, at first it might be easy, you might get through it. Maybe it's hard, maybe you're struggling with the gallon of water. But there's nights that are going to come along where it's 1 a.m, you went out, maybe you forgot to finish your gallon, you come home and there's half a gallon of water left that you now have to chug over the next hour or two, and then you got to wait another hour to go to bed, otherwise you're going to pee like 4 times. Or maybe you have to do your outside workout at 1 a.m. and it's snowing in Kansas or Colorado, or there's a tornado or a hurricane coming. You got to figure it out and get the shit done. And over a long enough period of time, that becomes part of your personality. You develop characteristics that are not going to go anywhere, because I don't know, some people say it's 45 days, some people say it's 90, 60 to develop a habit. But that's why I've done it for the last 3 years off and on, is because I want to have that shit ingrained in my soul. Where if I'm working at night and I know something needs to be done, but I'm tired, I'm going to stay up and get the shit done. Or if, I lack and I don't do my workout all day, but I need to hit a workout, it's Wednesday, it's in the middle of the week, there's no rest days on Wednesdays, I need to go to the gym and get it done. So it is applicable to so many different parts of your life, and I think no matter what industry you're in, no matter you're in school, you're 6 years old, you're 10 years old, you're 20, 30, 60, whatever it is, you're going to benefit from developing those characteristics.
What would you say in the process of doing that was the standout? And you might have just mentioned it with the perseverance and like making sure you get things done, but what is the standout quality trait that you've gotten from the experience over the last 3 years?
Probably self-confidence and perseverance and grit, because I'm in good shape. I have been doing it long enough where you feel better, you look better, and as a result, when you hold yourself going out in public or with a group of friends, or maybe you're on a date, maybe you're going into a business meeting, you just feel more confident because you look good, you feel good, your mind's right, you're not putting toxins in your body, you're working out regularly, everything's just benefiting you as a whole, and as a result of that, you're going to come off more confident, you're going to look more confident. And in regards to the grit and other aspects, I would say that's it. Just the discipline, the self-discipline that I have going into my work days, or just any tasks I have to handle, knowing that I'm going to get them done because I've developed those characteristics.
Yeah, I mean, I love that because this is interesting to me for context for people listening. I'm in the process of trying 75 Hard for the first time. I was turned on to it by just hearing constant amazing results. I'm on day 29. By the time this airs, I'll probably be on hopefully day 40, 45 range. And for me, everything you say is what's actually happening to me in my life. I'm down 25 pounds in 29 days. I feel absolutely amazing. And I was typically that person that found the excuse, would find a reason not to do something, which is not good and not something you want to do when you're trying to build businesses, be successful. And on day 19, I pulled my back, hurt my back a little bit, playing golf after working out twice. I still went and played a round of golf, pulled my back. The next day I woke up and I felt like shit.
Yeah.
Pre-75 hard me would have been like, oh, this is a great reason to stay in bed and not do shit.
Yeah.
Me now, not wanting to fail, said fuck it. Woke up, walked 3 miles, came back, and I was going to do yoga for my workout. I was like, you know what? Let me do something light. Before I clicked play, I was like, honestly, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm doing a HIIT workout right now because I'm rolling, I'm feeling good. And now I'm on day 29. My back is actually getting better as I continue to work out and get stronger. And it's like, why would I have ever used that as a reason not to move forward? I didn't know that until I actually did it and now know what it feels like to push through. And that's a special feeling. That's something you start to realize, like, oh shit. Yeah. I feel like a badass now. Like, fuck these little excuses or things that I don't like. And you realize these things in these challenges. And I heard people talk about it. I heard people bring it up. And I'm like, all right, like, what's the shit with this challenge? Like, is it really that real? Now, in the process, I would recommend anybody looking to shake up their life, anybody who's lacking in self-confidence, discipline, the ability to lock in and get things done, to go challenge yourself with this challenge. Because it, to me, 30 days in, 29 days in, has been life-changing.
Just wait until you get to the point where you start making yourself do harder shit on fucking purpose.
Yeah.
In every aspect of your life. I have an example. I bought a weighted vest, like 45-pound weighted vest, to start doing my walks or runs in the morning because walking and running was getting too easy. And then maybe my workouts, pull-ups were getting too easy, push-ups were getting too easy. So now I'm adding this weighted vest. I'm going to like Pilates or yoga or cycle bar or doing, CrossFit, just doing different styles of training every month because, I'm getting too good at calisthenics. Yeah. Or this morning, I'm here in Miami, and I was kind of having just like a down week, where you just, everything feels a little like not as fast, not as good. You're kind of just mellow a little bit. And my buddy was like, hey, I was going to meet him up anyways to pick up a camera, and we were going to grab breakfast. But he's like, I got to go to this cryo tank. Cryo tank?
Yeah.
Cryo, the little ice tanks or whatever that are like really cold. And he's like, just meet me here. And he's like, and then he starts calling me. He's like trying to get me to sign up to go do it. I'm like, I don't want to be fucking cold, bro. Like, I'm not paying somebody to like freeze my balls off. Okay? Yeah. Like, that sounds like ass. And then I hang up, and I got my friend Chloe in the car, and he starts texting me again, like bullying me. And this is how you know you always got good friends. He started bullying me to do it. And I told her, I'm like, I'm going to end up doing this cryo tank. I don't want to do it, but I know I'm going to get there. I'm going to end up in the fucking tank. And I get there, and I'm in the mindset, I'm like, maybe this is what I need right now. I need to put myself through something hard as shit, set the tone for the fucking day. It was this morning, and I get in there, and I'd never done it before. I'd always done ice baths. And you get in this full room, and I don't know what it is. It's just ice mist or something. It's not like water. You stand there, and they were asking me how long I wanted to like stand there and the temperatures and everything. And my buddy Joe's, I guess, been going for a little while now. I'm like, give me whatever the fuck he's doing. Like, first time, I don't know what it is, nothing. Put it at like the coldest thing. The girl asked me 3 times. She's like, are you sure? Like, the beginner level is like negative 160 or something, and it was at like negative 230. And I was like, nah, fuck it, I got it. Like, trust me, like, this goes back to 75 hard. I knew the second I got in there, one, I had my buddy outside, I had a girl outside. I'm not going to pussy out and knock on the door to get me out of here. And I also knew with the self-discipline, getting my head right as soon as I get in there, that it's going to be easy. By the time I was done, I was ready to go 5 fucking minutes. Like, it only started getting a little hard after the 3-minute mark, and I think I ended up doing another 30 seconds. But that mindset came from 75 hard.
That's amazing.
And that's why I like live hard now, because yes, it's a challenge, but I live hard all the fucking time. Everything I do, I try to make harder to make myself be better.
And how much has that impacted the business side of your life?
I'll put it this way. 3 years ago when I started doing 75 yard, I was in my mom's basement. I was just starting off on like TikTok, and now I'm at a point where I got 2 million followers. I'm living in my dream apartment. I got one of my first dream cars. I can start supporting my family, friends. I hired my little brother. I have 6 employees, and I'm at a point now where life is definitely elevated from where it was 3 years ago when I started doing 75 hard. And Andy Frisell always says it's, I mean, he's a billionaire at this point if he ever sells First Form or whatever, but super successful, and he still does it. So I'm like, okay, if he's able to commit a majority of his day to still doing those things and still operate a successful business at that scale, I'm going to keep it in my routine. And as long as my life keeps elevating as I'm doing it, I'm going to keep doing it. Why would I stop?
100%. What does a training regimen look like for you? Because I saw some of the before and afters. Like, I mean, you're in crazy good shape. I've seen some of the workout videos. What does a typical training regimen look like for you?
So I've always been into calisthenics, which is body weight workouts for anybody that's not familiar with it. Ever since I was 15, because I've always been built like kind of like an NBA player, like a jumper. I have really high calf implants and skinnier legs. I have a fast metabolism. So unless I was going to eat like 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day growing up as a teenager, which I hate overfeeding myself like that, I decided to resort to calisthenics to gain my strength there, because a lot of people don't know when you do calisthenics, which is push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, and then there's much more advanced versions of all that a lot of you guys aren't going to know if I say it. But that strength transfers over into weights. So the highest my bench has been was when I was, funny enough, 19. And it's because I was doing one-arm tiger bend push-ups, one-arm clapping push-ups behind my back and just crazy shit like that 99% of the population can't do. That was increasing my chest strength and transferring over to bench. But if I was doing, 225 on the bench, I'm not going to be able to just go get on the floor and do a one-arm clapping push-up behind my back. So that's why I say I think everybody should implement body weight, workouts. But a majority of my workouts now are calisthenics-based, at least like 60% of them. And then I do bodybuilding. I'll still go do bench, I'll do rows, I'll do dumbbell curls, all that stuff.
Yeah, for me, I've done all calisthenics right now and walking because I wanted to commit to something that was convenient, that I knew that I could do, and I could really like push myself and still do my busy ass life of regular work, this and that, and not have any reason to not do it.
Yeah.
Like, and I love it. I'm feeling amazing. But now, on my second 30 days, I'm going to implement the gym because I want that change, like you mentioned.
Yep.
I want to try something new, switch it up a little bit. I've already proven to myself I'm committed. I'm not quitting now. I'll drive to the damn gym if it's 1 a.m. and I need to get it done.
Yep.
So to me, it was like, all right, I need to prove myself if I can do this.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how fast, like, I mean, this is embarrassing to say on camera, but I was doing 15 push-ups. And I was like out of breath, barely able to get the last push-up up.
Yeah.
Now I could do 30 push-ups back to back to back to back, do 50 sit-ups, rep another 30 push-ups, and it's been less than 30 days.
Yeah.
And it's just because I've been doing it every single day for the last 29 days. And the results are like, I mean, I think for me, like I was an athlete my whole life, played baseball, was always in great shape, and then I stopped. Yeah. And then I thought like, I'll be fine. And then I got fat. Yep. And now going back into it, I've tried. I've gone back to the gym, stopped, started throughout this whole period. For the first time, I'm seeing the results, and it becomes addicting. It becomes like, ooh, like, well, like, how much harder can I go tomorrow? Like, can I keep getting better?
Exactly.
Can I keep doing more? And I'm starting to understand why people love this so much.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you right now, the number one way, in my opinion, to get into the best body you want to be in is with calisthenics and like dieting. Dieting and calisthenics mixed with like bodybuilding or some sort of other exercise regularly, I think is the best way to burn fat and get toned and get those abs and dream physique that you've wanted because of isometric holds and like time under tension exercises. And just because of how many the movements that incorporate multiple muscle groups. Like if you're doing a muscle up, it's, you're using a little bit of your lower.
Superset almost.
Yeah, you're using a little bit of your lower chest. You're using your back, your shoulders, your biceps. You're hitting like 5 different muscle groups by doing one exercise. So I just think it's the best, and I recommend anybody doing it that's wanting to like at least lose weight or get some abs or look good for summer.
And do you have an ideal diet that you follow, or it's kind of just...
Since I mentioned I have the fast metabolism, I just eat a generic healthy diet. I cut out anything that's obviously shit. I'm not going to eat donuts or cupcakes, and I don't drink 80% of the year. I don't eat candy. I don't drink pop. ice cream, cookies, like pizza, like a majority of that stuff I'm not going to eat at all, if ever. Like pizza every once in a while, but
Pizza's really good.
I love
Whether
pizza.
you're healthy or not,
I
that
love
shit is
pizza.
delicious.
Good pizza, yeah.
Good pizza is delicious. So we've jumped around here. We talked deep. We got into the content, talked about the creation of it, what people are looking for. We talked about your journey. It's funny, you were sitting here for the previous episode we recorded, so you know the question you're going to get here at the end.
Yeah.
And that question is, for you, Anthony, 10 years from now to look back, what has to happen in the next 10 years for you to deem your journey a success?
I heard you ask my buddy this literally an hour ago, and I still was thinking of an answer. The first thing that comes to mind is mainly what my lifestyle would look like. I liked my buddy's answer in regards to just seeing progress, 10 years from now. I'm going to be 34. Ideally, I'm very traditional, so I would want to be married with kids and just be in a better situation than I was when I was a child. I want to make sure we're financially free. I can focus on spending time with my kids and my wife, and still have time in my free time to focus on my business. But I'm really big on family and wanting to focus on my family in my mid to upper 30s. So making sure I'm set up for that is kind of going to be my main deterrent of success. Determination. I don't know what it is.
One of those three, right?
One of the four. I probably missed one.
That's amazing. And I like to ask that question because everybody's answer is a little bit different. Everybody cares about different things. And I think we're pretty aligned, and what you just mentioned is what I would deem as success for what my 10 years is.
Yep.
I got to do like a solo episode and ask myself the damn question and make
Yeah.
everybody else answer. But if you now could talk to the one entrepreneur that's locked in right now, watching us and wanting to learn more, and you had 60 seconds to drop a nugget of knowledge for them, what would it be?
I'm reading a book right now called Transurfing, and it's about shaping your reality to whatever you want it to be. I'm a believer that a large majority of people can do anything they want to do in life. If you have a passion, I know for a fact you can turn it into a full-time career if you want to. I feel like I've lived 10 lives in the last 5 years just because, I commit to one thing long enough, and with consistency and putting faith in action, having faith that something's going to work out and working diligently towards that, I know it's going to work out. I just know it's going to work out. I'm so confident that anything I start and really commit to and I'm fully invested in, I know it's going to work out, whether it's in a year from now, in 2 years from now. Using my clients as an example, I think I can turn anybody to an influencer as long as we're staying consistent long enough and we stumble across something that works for you. And I think if you try enough things, if you're young, you're going to hit that a lot quicker than, waiting till 40 to start trying things you actually give a shit about.
I love it. Where can people go and connect with you? If somebody just loved what they heard and want to reach out to Anthony, where does that happen?
I'm going to keep it simple. The Instagram I mentioned earlier, I'll say it again. It's just at Anthony Bertoncin on Instagram, and that's Bertoncin. Shoot me a DM, say content. That's probably the best way to get my attention, and I'm happy to chat.
Perfect. All of Anthony's information is going to be linked in the bio below wherever you're listening to this. So feel free to go in, click it, reach out, tell him you loved what you heard, tell him you thought it was all right, tell him you thought it was amazing. Just connect with him. I think what you're doing is really amazing. I think content is not going away. It's only accelerating, and having a digital resume on social media is what I've said multiple times going to be the most important thing in the next 10 years. Anthony, thank you so much for coming on the show, brother. And I can't wait to continue to connect on your journey.
For sure. Thanks for having me, my man.